That is true. Because most of the people believe that. So here two phases are available with respect to the programming. In scripting languages there is only one phase, so there is the time reduction of execution time is very less when compared to the programming. Most of the people believe that, but still whatever the build available in the market recently, even working with working with the Python build with the latest version, that does not give the much execution speed because it takes a lot of time, because internally the compilation is also occurred. Okay, so that is the reason the Python is more concentrating, the founders of Python are concentrating more on this part, because in the market it is something like currently standing at the execution speed levels of Java. So it is at the beyond the range of Java execution time speed, but it not at cross at that. Okay.
Okay.
So compared to the execution speed level, you can say that Java is the better when compared to the Python, even though it is having only the interpretation phase here. Do you got the point?
Yeah.
Chetan and Karun, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, right. So most of the people believe that there is only the one interpretation, right? So why don't it the speed of the execution in Python should be more, right? So as it is having only the interpretation, means it is also taking care of the compilation internally. There is a reason behind that, and that too, it is not proficient when compared to the existing programming languages. Okay. So we discussed about the difference between the programming and the scripting here. So what exactly the compilation here? So compilation here, what it does here is that, so you have some written the piece of code in some Java application, for example. So we are talking here with respect to the programming. So in Java language, what you do here? So when you execute, you will write some code piece of application. Okay. For example, you consider Java as your have taken as a platform to design your application. So within your source code, whatever you written in the Java, that cannot be understandable by your machine, right?
Yeah.
Because machine is something what it's a digital, everything should be in the form of zeros and ones.
It
So what are
converts
the
into
piece of code you written, right? That will be in the Java syntaxes mostly. Is it right?
Yeah.
So it cannot be understandable by the hardware actually. So to the hardware, whatever you just do, you have to represent that in the form of zeros and ones only, so that it can understand what it is, whatever the piece of code you have written here. So to take that responsibility, so compilation is something what it will do, it will convert your source code to the machine understandable language format. Okay, so whatever the piece of code you written here, compilation used to take the responsibility to convert your code with respect to your hardware and the operating system level understandable code, something like a byte code.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's something format called a bytecode. So why only bytecode here, eh? Why not something else? So you observe most of the languages in the market, they will have the compilation output as a bytecode. The reason behind it is a universal format such that any interpreter can understand this format. Okay, that is the reason most of the languages just take it over. Mostly Java is open source, right? You can observe that even it is having the output of the compiler output is taken as a, what is the format? It's a bytecode.
Bytecode.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a bytecode. So bytecode is the importance is that the prominence of bytecode is it is a universal format. Any interpreter can understand your for this format, bytecode formats. Okay, so in the programming languages, most of the languages prefer the compilation output as a bytecode. So once your source code is converted to the bytecode, now this bytecode can be understandable by the interpretation. So taking the bytecode, the interpreter will execute the block by block instructions and execute your application or program.
Okay.
Okay, so interpretation same happens, but here compilation usually occurs at the back end here. Okay,
Okay.
is it clear? So
Yeah.
do you want any information regarding the history? Because the study we just discussed more on the history why the existence of the Python is coming into the market, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Next. So generally people will call as the Python is high level interpreted interactive object oriented programming language. So someone came to you and asking, hey, can you define the Python? Then simply you can define that it is high level interpreted interactive object oriented programming language. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is it clear? So why you have to define something like that only? So the reason behind is that, so generally Python is coming under the category of high-level language actually. Why? Because it supports the OOPS, it supports the interaction, because it is having the same kind of functionalities of the features which is providing with the other programming languages. Because most of the scripting languages does not have the OOPS. Because they can't, if you go for shell scripting or VB scripting, you can't construct there the kind of complex applications that is meant for only to do small kind of tasks, just like yesterday we discussed. So tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I want to start some Samba server or some server on my administration lab. So what you do, usually the manual operations, it is completely involved with the manual operations. So the user is supposed to go to that, particularly that time, to the lab, and he have to switch on to the mission. That is completely the manual process. So what they do is that they will write some small script using the shell. Okay, what this shell is that it's something like a piece of code. It's around 8 to 10 lines of code. This piece of code will help the administrator, so it automatically triggers at tomorrow 11 o'clock. The server will be switched on, so there is no manual interruption there. So everything you can automate there. So in doing such kind of tasks, they prefer the kind of scripting languages. Okay. So coming to the era, so most of the scripting languages after coming to the Perl, so they started supporting scripting languages with the OOPS. Once the OOPS came into the existence with the scripting languages, mostly these scripting languages are preferable for the application developments also mostly. So they, in the most of the MNC companies, they are using these scripting languages for developing their frameworks first of all. Mostly and importantly, product-based companies. Why only product-based companies is that, so for example, you both guys are having some organizations. One guy is manufacturing printer and one guy is manufacturing CPUs. So to test your products, there is no customized tool directly available in the market. So what you're supposed to do is that you will ask your testing team to develop one framework with respect to your product. So what you will do, your testing team guys will list the set of functions which are required for testing your product. So after listing your functions, what they do, they will compose the functions at one area along with adding some logging components, so adding some features of framework. So what they will do, they will design some framework, and that framework will be delivered to the testing team. So there, the automation engineers, by taking the support of framework, they will automate your test process. So are you fine with the terminology which I am using here?
Yeah. Yes.
I think you both guys are the real-time scenarios. You're working guys, right?
What?
No.
You both guys are working, or else do you have any real-time exposure?
No.
No.
Okay. No, okay. First of all, before going also, I have to ask you, you both guys are having any programming experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Even though if you're having, that is good, because I will, whatever the sessions I deliver, that is completely for in the kind of non-programmers. Okay, thinking in the aspect of non-programmers, I will deliver the classes to the guys here. Okay,
Okay.
it makes them
Okay.
to understand more clearly.
Okay.
Okay, so at any point, if you are having any issues, just raise me. Okay, just let me know, interrupt me at any point, and ask me the questions. Okay,
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
just don't get hesitate to ask me. Okay, be
Okay.
clear and be cool. Right. So here, high-level interpreted interactive OOPS. So what exactly here each and everything stands here? So interpreted, just now we just discussed what exactly the interpretation stands here. Okay. So in Python, as usual, theoretically, most of the people say there is no compiler to your program before executing your interpretation phase. So that is exactly the interpreted. So what exactly the interactive stands here? So guys, you don't know, you don't believe that. So Python is very, very interactive. So what exactly the here interactive stands here? So to test your code, for example, you both guys are there, I given some piece of code to you. So what your responsibility is, you have to debug that program. Okay, so I have given some function to you both of the guys. So your responsibility is to debug that. So you don't know what exactly it performs. So how Python is helpful for you is that Python has provided us the kind of feature that the end user can interact with the Python interpreter directly.
Okay.
So what is that? So let's observe in the practical sessions once that this is done. Okay. So here Python, with a Python interpreter, end user can directly interact here. So here what you will do here, Whenever I given the piece of code to you, you copy that code, paste it on the interpreter, and observe the behavior of each and every step of exactly it is performing. Do you got the point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're given some piece of code that you don't know what exactly the function performs here, just copy the code, paste it on the interpreter, and you can observe the line by line behavior how exactly the function is performing. So that is the way Python has given us the opportunity to interact with the interpreter directly. So it is the best for the initial learners so they can debug the activities of their learning by using this interpreter. Okay, so I will show you today. So today we will complete the installation part. So once the installation is done, I will show you how exactly Python is providing the interactive sessions for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, right.
Okay.
So next is the object oriented. So object oriented means I explained you in the demo session. So why object oriented? Why not something? So why these guys are crazy that whatever the people or languages used to say that everything should be in the form of object. So why only object? Why not some other? Is that I said to you the reason, right? What is the error that is going in the program in the languages, right? Structured,
Yeah.
unstructured languages, modular, object oriented, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think both the guys got the reason behind that, right? We can discuss this again in OOPS. Whenever we're working on the OOPS, I will get you back the same content to you, okay, with more explanation.
Okay.
Okay? So
Okay.
that is something like object-oriented. So you know the object-oriented aspects and its features, what it's providing. So object-oriented is something like the main funda is whatever you design that should be in the form of classes and objects. This is the most important thing in the object OOPS principles actually. Okay, rest of the things are features, but whatever you design, the programmer should make sure that whatever he designed that should be in the form of classes and objects. Later on, the other kind of functionalities which are provided by the OOPS are just like inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, okay, encapsulation. So there are many factors like which are provided by the OOPS for us. Okay, so
Okay.
here Python is a 100% object-oriented programming language. So what 100%? Why you are specifying 100% in dictionary here is that, so if you go for Java or some other languages, so these languages are not 100% object-oriented programming language. Okay?
Okay.
Why? Because in Java mostly there is a data type for int. For example, in Java, if you go for primitive data types, mostly int. Okay, so there int is not taken as a object. It is not acting as a object there. So that is a reason in the later Java 3 version above they have introduced the concept for integers class. Okay, so they have given if you want to declare any int variable, you have to take the integer class there. Okay, so as Java is supporting both to specify a variable called int with object type without object type. So due to the presence of that non-object type, Java is not called as a not a 100% object-oriented programming language.
Okay.
Is it clear? Do you got the
Yeah.
reason behind that? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when you declare any int, right? So what happens here when you declare any int using the int primitive data type in Java, that is not an object. Due to that presence in the language, it is not called as 100%. Because whatever you specify in any language that should be object oriented, then only you can say that the language is called as a object oriented programming language.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but in Python, whatever you take, the basic funda, whenever you enter into the Python, the basic funda, what you say is that anything and everything in Python is an object.
Okay.
Take whatever you take in the Python, everything is an object here. For object, what are they? Generally, the properties and behavior are available. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, right, cool. So next, Python is a beginner language. I usually add this point because for the guys who are mostly the programmers, they will compare Python with some other languages when they are learning Python.
Okay.
Okay, but this is the, I can say this is a disadvantage for them. Actually, why? Because if the most for the initial programmers, so whenever the programmers start learning, they're programming with Python, that is the best choice for them because Python is very easy to understand and they can learn in a quick span of time. Okay, if you're
Okay.
already having some background and you're learning the Python, then you will compare Python with some other language concepts. Okay, so
Okay.
that's why whenever the guys who are non-programmers starting their career with the Python here, so they blindly follow the rules of Python, whatever it provided. That makes them to the concepts are very clear to them. Okay, so that is the reason Python usually called as it's a beginner's language first of all, because
Okay.
it supports for the wide range of developments. Initially, for example, OOPS is common. Wherever you go, the OOPS concepts are similar, but that there will be difference in syntactical wise with respect to the languages. But the core concepts are similar here, right? If you go for Java it takes around 1.5 months to learn what are the concepts which are available in Java. It takes 1.5 months. But if you go for Python within the span of 4 to 5 days, it will give you the complete functionalities, what exactly the it is providing. So if you learn Python, if you go for some other languages, you can learn quickly. If you go for some other languages, that takes more time, and if you come here, it will confuse you. Okay?
Okay.
Just for the pre-intimation that it is good for the initial learners actually. That is the reason. Because if you learn Python and if you come across with that, then that makes you more sense actually. It will become a good support for you. Okay? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any issues or any concerns here? Any
No.
queries?
No.
No, right?
No.
So do you got the reason? So anyone came to you and asking what exactly the Python standing means, you can define something like it's a high level language interpreted interactive object oriented programming language. Okay?
Yeah.
So are you clear so far?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Next. So just we can go for theory for the next 10 minutes, okay? Then later on we can go for practicals, okay? So we just want to know the importance of the Python, what it is providing. So then we can go to practical sessions, okay? Don't get bored with the theory, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So Python is first, you can learn, this is the basic points generally, okay? So Python is generally easy to learn. It's a powerful programming language. Okay, this is all we discussed, and it has the high level data structures. That is one of the important thing here. So Python is enclosed with the high level data structures. Okay, so whatever the data types it is providing for us, that is more powerful tools that you can use them for the high level of application designings mostly. Okay, and one more important thing is that I said Python is easy to learn. So what exactly it stands for is that, so there is no kind of uh, big kind of syntactical differences. For example, if you go for any Java application, there the big confusion for the end user is that where exactly the code braces is starting, where exactly the braces is ending, right?
Yeah.
The code will not be, means the beautification of the code in other languages is not good actually. That makes the end user that he doesn't know what exactly the piece of code or application is doing on. So that will confuse the end user. Here, there is no such kind of syntactical rules. Okay, so whatever you just do the piece of code in Python, everything is a general English.
Okay.
Okay.
And also it is called as a dynamic typing. So what exactly the dynamic typing stands for? So this we will discuss in the next 10 minutes. So what exactly the dynamic typing stands here? Okay. Next, it is an interpreter nature and make it the ideal language for scripting and rapid application developments in most of the platforms that we know. Next is this Python, whatever is available, that is completely built using C language. So that's why you will find some similarities between the C functionalities and Python here, because this Python is completely built using the C here. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can have the extensions with the C and also other languages also. Here you should ask me one question here. Vamshi, I observed that in the market there are different kinds of flavors available. So what exactly the flavors here? So flavors in the sense, for example, your application is designed using Java. So I said before your printer, right? So you both guys are having two organizations. One is the printer, the other is the CPU manufacturing units. So in the printer, if suppose you guys are using some Java has a application means you have preferred the language Java to design your application on the printer software. Okay.
Okay.
So what your intention is to design the framework. Your application is your product is completely designed using Java, but you want to design your framework using Python. So what is the way you can integrate with here? So to have the integration between the Java classes along with the Python classes, so for us, Java has provided us a flavor called Zython.
Okay.
Okay. In the next class, I will explain you in detail morely. Okay, just for now, just give you some information. So for with respect to the every platform, Python is provided as the flavors for us. Like Zython for what do you say, Java, .NET for Iron Python. Next, if you want to interact with the Android, so it has provided as a QPython.
Okay.
Okay, so whatever the platform you take, with respect to the platform, the flavors of Python are available. So what is the importance here is that you can, what do you say, you can utilize the libraries which are available in the both the platforms.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that makes you to design a rapid or complex kind of application because you can utilize or extract the flavors of functionalities which are available in the Java along with the Python.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so is it clear for both of you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so with respect to your platform, versions are available for us. So that makes you more sense that you can extract the functionalities more and more and you can utilize in your application development.
Okay.
Okay, right. And this is the best language. Why? Because you can even do such kind of activities like you can do Java programming, C programming, and Android programming also can be performed using Python, right? As you are working on the testing part, for example, assume that even the Selenium also you can apply on the Python. Whatever the testing you're doing through Selenium, the same thing you can do with in Python also, because it is having huge library support.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, just install the third-party library and utilize that.
Okay.
Okay. So next is Python is very simple to use and it's a real-time programming and high level, and it is having the flexible arrays and dictionaries. These are called as generally the data types which are available in Python. So this is what about something about that. So coming to the introduction here, generally I said the previous slide, whatever it is similar here. So Python is generally a general purpose, interpreted, interactive, object oriented and high level programming language that we know. So coming to the new point here, so this Python is generally the founder of Python is the guy is called as a Guido van Rossum. Okay, he is one of the member in the C Foundations actually. He has worked with the Dennis Ritchie. So that is the reason he invented the Python, or the Python is built using C.
Okay.
Okay, why only he preferred C is that he worked with Dennis Ritchie at the 1990s. That is the reason he taken C as a founder. I mean C as a basic to develop the Python language.
Okay.
Like Perl, Python is also open source. That might be the reason maybe the market is flowing more on the Python because it's open source. More and more contributors are available here. So it's not a license, so everyone can use that. Everyone can modify the code whichever it is available. Okay.
Okay.
So there is a reason why, as it's open source mostly, so many contributors are providing the support for it, and most of the guys are using for their application development.
Okay.
Okay. Next is a flexible scripting language that you know obviously. And coming to the platforms here, it mostly applicable on the most of the platforms, but as per we have to list it right. So mostly on the Mac, Windows, Linux, all the flavors of Linux, and whatever the gaming development activities. For example, if you go for embedded level, chip level manufacturing units, there also you can interact with the Python there.
Okay.
Okay, some game development or script mundane tasks, these are something like automation. Means if you want to do some kind of background processes, even you can prefer the scripting languages there.
Okay.
Is it clear? So if you're working with the Linux, right, you can do some kind of background processes to run your application. So when you're running some application, you want to span some kind of multiple activities. So at such kind of scenarios, you can prefer the Python and you can span the threads for each and every activity what you want to do here.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
So we know that, so this came into the existence. So actually this is found at the computer science in Netherlands actually. Okay. So there this Guido van Rossum has been worked for the longer years, and he brought us the Python for us to utilize. Okay. Actually this is the Python features whatever in available that is derived from the other languages called ABC, modularity. So all the features or syntacticals are taken from this list of languages. Okay, Smalltalk is also one of the object-oriented here, and Unix. Okay,
Okay.
is it clear?
Yeah.
Next, features of Python here. So till now we have discussed what easy to learn that we know here, easy to read, okay, easy to maintain. This is also should be more important, because whenever you are dealing with some kind of large or complex project, there the maintainability of the code should be very careful. So with using Python, you can maintain the code in a good manner actually. Okay, so when you discussing or when you're dealing with some projects, so in our in further classes we will do some minor projects. Okay, I will make you to work on the minor projects, then you can understand how could you maintain your code well.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, using packages and everything. Okay,
Okay.
so once the 4 to 5 classes are done, you can start automating your daily activities. What about daily activities? In the sense, when you click one button, the browser should open for you. One tab is for Facebook, one tab is for Twitter, one tab is for your Gmail, the other tab is for your office mail. Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
so this is the daily process you will do, right? Going to the
Yeah.
browser and providing the URL. After logging to the URL, you have to provide the username and password and submit button. So this all is the manual process. So what you have to do, you have to automate that process because you are using it daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So to make it more comfort, what you have to do, you can automate that process using Python. So once 4 to 5, once the data types are completed, you can start automating your activities.
Okay.
Okay. So that makes you more giving more confidence to you that you have, oh, I got something from Python. Okay.
Okay.
So once you do this basic kind of activities, we can work on some minor projects. Okay. So
Okay.
at last, once the classes is done, I will show you the real-time framework, but I don't provide you that code, okay? Because it's a
Okay.
multinational company framework. It has some security, so that is the reason I will not provide you the code, but I will show you that how exactly the real-time scenarios are going on. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Right, guys. So interactive mode here. So okay, so this is easy to read, easy to maintain. So I said about the libraries, right? So there are around 85,000 third-party libraries are available till now in the Python package indexing. I said PYPI. Okay, so there is an
Okay.
organization called PYPI. So better I will show you that. Okay, so this is what the PYPI package Python package indexing. Okay, so if you can observe here, guys, see the list of third-party libraries. These are all the third-party libraries to interact with the different kinds of platforms here. Okay, likewise, there are many other kind of packages is also available in this foundation actually.
Okay.
Okay, if you can observe here, you see they are currently 74,097 packages are available here.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever you're dealing with some other, for example, you guys, any one of the guys are trying to work on the robotics, for example. So to interact with the robotics, you don't need to do any kind of activities from the scratch level. So just go to the PYPI and search for your robotics model. If any library is available for you already, which you want to interact with the robotic part, means what is the mission part you are interacting. Okay, first you have to check any library is available or any package is available here. Once the package is available, you have to go to that package, go to the documentation session, read what functionalities it is providing here. Okay, so after
Okay.
reading the functionalities, you have to determine that whether whatever the functionalities you are trying to perform are available in this package or not. Okay, once you figure out that, make a list of the functions, okay, and try to use them in your application development. That is the way how to do in the real-time scenarios mostly, okay, when dealing with the
Okay.
third-party libraries. Okay, So this is called as a Python package indexing here. So when you try to install one software or third-party software or application, what it will do is that it will particularly, so okay, I'll let you know regarding the installation part. Okay, currently I will keep it on hold. So let me complete this, okay? So we can go to the installation part today. So here, I said it's a huge library support that we observed. Next, it is interactive mode that I will show in the next 10 minutes. Next, portable. So what exactly the portable stands here is that Python can run on a wide variety of hardware platforms. Most of the platforms it supports. Because when you go for the processors, few languages will give some list of processors that it does not allow. Only these languages are preferable to run on few list embedded, the processors which you are working on. So make sure that it supports all the kind of processors which are available in the market, but when you're using out of box, then make sure that the hardware whichever you're using that should support it with Python.
Okay.
Okay, but it supports most of the hardware platforms, but when you go for any kind of initial level development processors, make sure that the processor should support this language.
Okay.
Okay, the next extensible means adding the low level modules to the interpreter. So here it's something like at the runtime you will develop more and more functionalities. So how could you add that to your interpreter? Right, so Python has given us a kind of scalability that you can extend the application level APIs for your Python. Just you can easily add that to your low level modules to your Python libraries. The question here is that, so in the organization you will develop different kinds of functions, right?
Yeah.
So how could you involve or make your functions as a part of existed functionalities, right? Because they already Python has provided certain functions for us, and you have developed your customized functions. So how could you integrate your customized functions along with the predefined functions? So Python has given such a kind of flexibility that it is supporting extendability. Means whatever the custom functions you design, you can directly integrate with the existing ones.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a kind of extensibility it stands for. Okay, so when you are doing the practical sessions, then at those point in time I will let you know how could your models can be utilized by some other. Whatever the piece of application you write, how could the other guy can utilize your piece of code? That we can know at the runtime when you're practicing the sessions. Okay.
Okay.
Next, database. So as I said, it supports all the relational databases which are available in the market. Okay, mostly Python is pre-built in with one database. What is that? Do you have any idea? Yesterday I said in the class. It's
Django.
SQLite. Django is for web designing here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's SQLite. I said the prominence of SQLite also. So all the mobile platforms which are carrying by everyone, it is internally having the database called SQLite in our mobile phones. Okay, so all the Android mobile phones are having the background database is the SQLite database. Okay.
Okay.
So the same thing here. Sorry. Any question?
No.
Okay. So here databases is that as it supports all the relational databases, but user is supposed to explicitly install the database. If you want to interact with the built-in database, that is called a SQLite. You can directly interact with that. So here Python supports all the relational databases which are available in the market. Okay. Next, GUI programming. So what exactly the GUI programming stands here is that, so there is a module available for us called Ttinker. Okay. And PyQt. PyQt is the licensed one, it's a third-party package, but Ttinker is a available package default in the Python. Okay, using this, what you can supposed to do is that you can either design standalone applications. Okay, standalone in the sense whatever the desktop applications, whatever the, for example, you are installing some software on the Windows, it's a .exe, right?
Yeah.
So when you install, it will open some terminal to you. So what you have to do, you have to press next, you have to next and OK, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So whatever such kind of applications usually called as the desktop applications.
Okay.
Okay, so those desktop applications, how could you design is that for us, Python has given us some kind of package called Ttinker. So using that, you can design your desktop applications. And this I have included in the topics which we will learn in further classes. So using this teaching curve, you can design some kind of UI terminals, and using that UI terminals, you can pass the arguments. Means currently you have designed some function called sum of two numbers here. Okay. So for sum of two numbers, what is the requirement here is that you have to pass two arguments to your function. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have to pass two arguments to your function. How could you supposed to pass the arguments to your function is either through command line. Through command line only you're supposed to pass. For example, assume that. So you both guys are familiar with the Python, so you know that how to pass arguments to your function. But if the same function is provided to some testing engineer, so he don't know the approach or how to pass the arguments to your function, right?
Yes.
So what is the kind of advantage you provide to the end user here? How could he know that your function should require two arguments and what type of number should be passed? So to give such kind of information for the better usability, so what you will do, you will design some kind of UI activity. So just some box. Inside that box, you will write some. So end user, please enter some number, and user, please pass some second number to the program. So you will take some boxes, two boxes. So you will ask the user to pass some numbers in those two boxes.
Okay.
So when the user passes two buttons and submit, whatever the user passes those numbers, you have to capture that and you have to pass to your program. Okay. So you have to process sum of two numbers at the back end, and you have to give the result of those two numbers to the end user there. You have to display that to the end user. So that makes more usability, so that whatever the application you design, that can be understandable or used by any other end user. Okay, so design such kind of applications, Python has provided us for the kind of package called teaching curve here.
Okay.
So clear? And GUI applications, yesterday I said, mostly in the market, they are utilizing, Python is utilizing mostly for the web designing by taking the help of Django. Okay. So Django is completely built using Python. So without Python, you can't do anything in the Django because the framework is composed of Python functionalities. Right? So scalability. This is also one more thing. So Python provides a better structure and support for the large programs. So in order to handle large programs, this is some kind of problem here. The maintenance of the code is a big problem, something like extendability. Okay, so what happens here? The Python is providing us a scalability that using that you can maintain the better structure for your programs when you're dealing with the large programs actually. Okay.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Right. Coming to the next. So how to run the Python programs. Before going to this, I have to explain you the installation part here. Okay. Right, guys, you both are having the Windows system, right?
Mine is Mac.
Mac. So on Mac, already the Python is installed as a package. So user no need to take care of any explicit installation there. Okay. Coming to the other who are using, anyone is using Windows?
Yeah, I'm using Windows.
Your is Windows, right?
Yes.
Okay. So on the Mac, you can't do anything. You just want to upgrade the things. So coming to the Windows user, so on Linux and Mac, so this Python is defined as a pre-built-in package. So user no need to explicitly install that. Okay. So coming to the Windows system, it's the responsibility of the end user to install the piece of software on their system. What is the way? So my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Just go to the Python download. Okay. So here, or else you can go to the directly www.python.org.
Okay.
So inside, when you open that, see, you will face with this kind of interface here. So the first there will be a downloads bar. Okay. When you click on the download bar, you will observe two kind of versions. One is 2 series and the 3 series.
Okay.
Okay. Currently, I will explain you 2 series differentiating with the 3.
Okay.
So if you go for directly 3, you will likely learn the syntaxes of 3 directly. But if you go for 2, then you could know what are the changes that has been done with between 2 and 3.
Okay.
Okay, those who are working on the Mac, if you want to go for 3 version, if you just give Python 3, it will go to the Python 3 interpreter. If you give Python 2 and keep enter, it will go to the Python 2 interpreter.
Okay.
Okay, but coming to the Windows user, Windows user is supposed to explicitly install what version he want to use. He can use both also. You can install both the versions on your system also. Okay, so currently,
Okay.
so I was installing 2.7.11. This is the recent version, and if you want to work with any previous builds, see observe here at the bottom, you can it provides you the list of builds if you want to work with the previous builds here. See the version starts from 2.0. Something. It started in 2001. Okay.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, if you want to work with the previous version, just install that version directly. But what I'm trying is I want to try to work with 2.7.11. So just in downloading that. So when you start downloading here, just observe that it is a .msi file. Okay. So see what is installation part. Who is having the Windows system?
Me, Karun.
Karan, are you starting installing?
No, I'm just seeing
You
it.
just observe the process. It is not a heavy process. It's a
Yeah.
2 minutes. Okay. So click on the run. So just go for install for all users. So it will ask you Python 27 directory. Under this, these are the kind of packages are available. Okay. So what I'm doing, I'm specifying the default path is C27. Okay. So for me, as before, I already installed there. So if you go here, there is already tree. Okay. So what I will do is that I will rename this directory. So it will create me Python 27 directory in the C along with these kind of packages here.
Okay.
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 It is trying to install. That's it. There's not a lengthy process for installation here. It's something like a small application on Windows.
I think he has to install a C2, right? Before installing Python.
Sorry.
Before installing Python, C has to be installed in Windows, right?
No, not required at all. There is no kind of prerequisites required for the installing the Python. Nothing like that. There is no required for C installation before. Okay. Just go directly with the Python installation. It is developed using C, but it does not have any dependency on the C. Okay.
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 So yeah, finish. So I install the Python. So how could you know that I have installed Python on my machine? First observation is just go to the C. You will find Python 27 directory. First, okay. See here, I will explain you this later. So the next, what is the way to check is that when you go for search bar, just give Python. You will observe this. This is idle. I said Python is very interactive, right?
Yeah.
Before in the theory class. So this is the kind of interface that Python has provided for us. So the end user directly can interact with the interpreter. So whenever you observe this kind of symbols, right?
Okay.
Arrow symbols, 3 arrow symbols. This indicates that this is an interpreter.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So user can suppose to interact with the interpreter at this point whenever he observe something like arrow, something like this here. So on the Mac, when you give Python to enter, you will observe this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the kind of interface that has been provided by the Python. For example, if I given some function to you, copy here and observe the behavior.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So this is kind of interface for. This is generally called as the IDE for Python. You can use this, or you can use by default. You can install, maybe you're on the Mac, right? So you can install the Sublime Text to do your coding level activities, or you can install the PyCharm. Okay.
Okay.
List the softwares here. Sublime Text you can use, or PyCharm. PyCharm is more advisable, but not for initial learning. Okay, so when you're working initially or when you're learning Python, first interact with this IDE only. Okay, because you can learn the syntax how to specify when you're working with Python. But when you go for Eclipse or Sublime Text or PyCharm, this is something like a syntax auto completion, which will help you more to code fast. Okay, so
Yeah.
for the first 1 month, just don't go for this kind of IDEs. Okay, work with the existed IDE which has been provided by the Python for you.
Okay.
Okay, right? Okay. Next, so this is the IDE, so user can interact, and this is the command line. So what is the other kind of interface Python has provided for us is that through command prompt. Okay,
Okay.
just give Python here. It can enter directly into this location. Same, whatever the ID here, that is same on the command prompt also. Okay, so this is also interpreted, so end user directly can interact with this here. Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
clear for both of you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so for us, two kind of interfaces is there. So you can interact through command prompt. The other way is through IDE. Okay, next Python manuals is something like a help. It will give you the documentation session for you. Okay, you can directly go for the documentation with respect to the version that you have installed on your machine. Okay, the next is uninstallation. If you want to uninstall here, you can uninstall from here. That is. Okay, it takes around 1 minute of time to uninstall the Python on your machine. Okay, so these are the kind of things that are available when you install the Python on your machine.
Okay.
So once the installation is done, so what is the responsibility? Maybe whoever is using the Windows system here, so before going to the Python, you have to set the environmental path. Here I have already set it the environmental path. That is the reason I can able to interact with the Python here on the command prompt mostly. Observe here what I am doing here. So do you have any idea of setting the environmental path? Both of you, any of the guys, do you have any idea?
No.
Okay, okay, no issues, I will let you know. So here I am at some location. I am in C user some Prasad PC location. So here when I give Python, previously it enters into the Python interpreter, right?
Yeah.
So what happens now? If I give Python, it's saying that Python is not recognized as an internal or external command. So what exactly this stands for? Now what happens? I will open another command prompt. I will go to the C Python location, CD Python 27. From this directory, if I give something like Python, what happens here? From the other locations, you can't do anything. When you give Python, you can't enter into the Python interpreter. But when you give specifically in this location, you can able to interact, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So what is the reason behind that? Do you have any idea, guys? Okay. No idea, right?
No idea.
Okay, no issues. So here, see, when I install the Python, so on the C directory 27, you can find some directory called 27. Inside that, you will observe some directories along with some libraries. So here, if you observe here, Python, this Python is C, it's a .exe. This is what the Python interpreter is.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're running any application, means when you're running any Python file, first it will look for where exactly the python.exe is available on your hard machine. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
So it's a tough job for the operating system to search where exactly you have placed your python.exe on your system, because it can't search for the entire hard disk for this file. So that is a reason what the kind of thing here is happening is that you are setting the environmental path. So when you set the environmental path, what you are saying, so whenever you're running in the Python, you're saying to the operating system that, hey operating system, so first observe the python.exe in the environmental path. If it is available there, take it from there. So you are giving the information to the operating system, to the kernel, that just take python.exe from this environmental path. Okay, so that is the reason you are setting the environmental path. What is the way to set that? So right click on the computer, properties, advanced system settings, go to the environmental variables. Inside this, go to the path. So click on path, give the edit. So there will be already some kind of configuration things will be there. So at the last press semicolon. Here you have to specify the location where exactly that python.exe is available. So on my system it is Python 27, right? Hello? Hello?
Yeah. Yes.
Are you getting the guys? My voice is
Yeah,
fluctuating
yeah.
or else
Yes.
getting right?
Yeah.
So make
Yeah.
sure that place semicolon at the end. Starts with the semicolon, end with the semicolon. If you not place semicolon, then you can't reflect this on the command prompt. Okay, so make sure that it starts with semicolon, end with semicolon, and specify the location. On my system, it is in C. If you're on your system, it is in D directory. Specify that location there. Okay, so press OK, OK, OK. So now close these command prompts. So it will not impact on the existed command prompts. So you have to open the new one and then observe. Now what happened? Previously it told me error that Python is not recognized, right?
Yeah.
Now it is. I can able to. Now on my system from any area I can interact with the Python. So I can interact from the other directories also. Okay, so this is the reason. What is the reason behind the setting the environmental path is that you are giving the information to the operating system that just search the python.exe means interpreter from this location, so that it can search from that location and execute your program. Got it?
Yeah.
Guys, got it right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for us, still whatever understanding is the two things. So Python has provided us two interfaces for us. One is IDE, the other is through command prompt. Okay, so this is the IDE. So you can perform, generally IDE is called as a calculator. So you can perform all the mathematical operations here. Here this is called as a modulus operator. It gives you the reminder. Okay.
Okay.
So this is something called as a calculator here. So you can do all the mathematical operations on the Python IDE.
Okay.
Okay. Next, our first program. What is that? For every language, the first program is
Hello.
hello world, right? So what is the hello world? How can you define that? Print hello world. To do the same process languages, it approximately takes 3 to 4 lines, right? If I am not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here it's a one line activity. Okay. So print hello world. It gives the hello world. And in tomorrow's class, the most important concept that variable declarations we will discuss.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So regarding the installation, are you fine, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, on Windows this is the way you have to set along with the environmental paths. On Mac, everything will be taken care by the operating system itself. You don't need to do supposed to do anything externally. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
right. So next is just for the sake. So we just given here what is a file level execution. So hello world in file. How to interact with the files. So this is the program. So when you see, I will not show the in the ideal, just go to the file, click on new file. So under this file, whatever you want to write, just write down here. What are the piece of code here? Hello world program I am writing. So just save it. So I am saving this file in the 27 directory. Okay. Save. So if you go to this directory here, Python 27, have you observed here the file hello world?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the symbol here? So based on the file, you can observe that this is the Python.
Okay.
Okay, see here, right click properties. What is the extension here?
.py.
.py. So whenever you observe .py file on your machine, that is indicates that it's a Python file.
Python.
Okay. Now how to execute this? First is when you go for in the IDE, just go to the run module. Click on that. You'll observe here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the way to execute through IDE file. What about the command line execution?
Type Python and then the file name.
Yes, yes. So for the for the guys who are working on the Windows, this is the shortcut. So just click on that and go to the command prompt. It will go to that particular location. Okay, it's a shortcut for Windows.
Okay.
So here I know that I have to go to the specific file location where exactly my file is existed. So click give Python. What is the file name? What is the file name here? Hello.py.
Okay.
So this is the way you have to execute through command prompt. So I have shown you the execution through IDE file along with the command line execution. Okay. So what happens if this file is in some other directory? I placed this file in some H directory.
You have to give the directory name along with the thing.
Yes. So for example, I will create a new directory here. Python. So under this Python, okay, I pasted the code here. So now, in order to execute this program from the H directory, what I have to do here? I have to go to that location where exactly my file is available. Okay. Then you're supposed to run. Okay. So some people believe that my file is in H directory, but I want to execute from C directory. It is not possible. Okay. So you have to go to that particular file location, execute from there.
Okay.
So is it clear so far?
Yeah, but like when you're in
Right.
C directory, you can just put Python and then the whole directory name and it's gonna run, right?
Sorry, can you come back again, please?
Okay, but like you can just when you're in C directory, you can put Python and then H semicolon slash directory name and slash hello world.py and it's gonna run, right?
Okay, you can execute that through. You can specify the path where exactly you can do that
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
But you have to specify the exact location.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you.
Okay? Yes, you can do that. You can do that. Okay? But why I'm concentrating here is that most of the people believe that they will sit in the C directory. So currently I was in the H, but my file is in C directory. So from the H, it is not possible to execute the file which is in the C directory. Okay?
Okay.
So for that you have to specify the location here.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
So this is the way you have to play around with the IDEs. So today your job is that install that Python and play around with the IDE.
Okay.
Just play around with IDE and try to find out if you find any observations, just let me know in the tomorrow class.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Just practice it. If you have any issues in the later class, I will discuss with that to you. Okay?
Okay.
So that's for today. Is there any concerns or questions from today's class?
No.
No, right? Everything is clear with respect to the installation?
Yes.
So today what we discussed is, today we discussed about the introduction, history, features and installation part. And along with installation, we just played around with some IDE. What are the interfaces that Python has provided for us? Okay? So this is what our today's learning here. Okay? So tomorrow we're supposed to concentrate more on variables, how to declare variables and how exactly the backend is going on. Okay, because yesterday in the previous discussion we just missed one point called dynamic typing. So tomorrow I will explain you that what exactly the Python dynamic typing stands here.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the plan here. Okay, so plan accordingly and tomorrow come with your questions if you have.
Same time,
okay?
right?
Same time, 6 to 7.
Okay. All right.
So it is fine for both of you guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other questions from your end that my voice is not louder or it is not clear for you?
No.
No. Everything is
No
fine.
technical issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how many classes is it gonna take, like total?
Classroom, that depends upon the hours that we take.
Okay.
But in general, it will be completed in 3.5 weeks mostly.
Okay.
If you go in a slow pace.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, but mostly tomorrow and maybe, okay, tomorrow is Saturday and Sunday, right? I can spend more time with you.
Yeah,
Tomorrow is
that's fine.
Friday.
Okay, for you, I don't know. Okay,
for us,
okay, you are
yeah.
staying in other country, right? Okay, no issues at all. Okay, let me know at whatever the point we can stop it, right? No issues.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have any
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
other
I
kind
mean,
of
if you want,
personal
I
activities,
mean,
let me
I
stop
don't
after
know.
1 hour.
I
Yeah.
have no problem to extend like some more time.
Yeah.
What about the other guy? Have
Yeah,
you, you
I have no problem.
no issues, right? So let me that
No.
based on the concentration levels that we have. Okay. If you are feeling bored, we can stop at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The final target is that you want to be very confident regarding the Python once the sessions are done. That is my target.
Okay.
Okay, so for that, to what complexity or whatever the pace we go, that should give the strength for us. Okay, so let us see if you are getting good enough stuff, then we can go fastly. Okay,
Okay.
so but the time duration is 1 hour, so we can continue for some other time. That depends upon the concentration levels on us. Okay,
Okay.
that
All
we are
right.
showing us. Okay, right.
Okay.
So that's for today, and tomorrow we can plan the rest of the part. Okay.
Okay.
So have a good day, guys. Okay.
Thank
You
you.
too. Bye
Right.
bye.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Bye.
Sorry?
Nothing, nothing.
Okay. Okay. Right. No issues. Right. Okay. Bye. Take care.
Bye.